and they're hoping, and they're praying, and they're waiting, and you could be a part of their dreams. So please, keep your calls coming in. And speaking of wonderful dreams, Frank has a story that will truly touch your heart, and a little girl you're going to love.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you are calling in a pledge right now, you keep doing that. But if not, and maybe the telethon is on in the background, and you're in the kitchen, or you're in another part of the house, just do me a favor, just for one portion of this telethon, get the family together and just come into the living room, come into the TV room, just sit down, because I want you to see something that's going to explain a good part of this telethon. It happened back in March. It's the story of a family of 7, mom and dad, and 5 children. And the story of a little girl harmlessly playing with some friends on a very cool March morning, and the need for a miracle, and the miracle that took place. Just bring everybody in and watch the story of a miracle child, Debbie Vaughn.
I'm holding it out and he's eating all of it. I like him.
6-year-old Debbie Vaughn is fighting back from a close encounter with death. Last March, Debbie and some friends were playing on the ice on this pond at her Tioga County home when Debbie fell into 8 feet of water. She was underwater for at least 15 minutes.
I felt helpless. Just watching her there and going back under. It was just totally helpless.
Why couldn't you get to her?
The ice in some parts where I was trying to get through, I just couldn't break it. I ended up getting very bruised.
I saw her stuck in the ice, but I also saw my daughter floating underneath the water, her head up just below the surface of the water, so I could see exactly where she was. So I ran around to the other side of the pond and took a giant leap into the pond. I don't think I could do it again, but jumped about almost halfway into the pond and then smashed through the ice, grabbed her, and then took her out. Her face was completely blue, and her eyes were open and glazed, and if I ever looked into the face of death, that day I did.
Debbie was barely alive as she was rushed to a Wellsboro hospital. From there, she was life-flighted to Geisinger for more intensive care.
One of the important things about the circumstances of Debbie's drownings was that she drowned in a truly ice-covered pond, and so she was extremely hypothermic. Her body temperature was very low.
We got down there and they showed us the room where she was just totally hooked up with every tube and everything. You could hardly even see her little face. Everything was hooked up to her. And Dr. Wallace took us into a side room and just so graciously and tactfully told us that it didn't look good at all. She'd be very surprised if she lived through the night, and if she did, she'd probably be a vegetable.
Debbie's parents refused to give up. Her dad is a minister, her mom a woman of faith. Together, they prayed for a miracle. Debbie was in a coma for 21 days. During that time, she was surrounded with care, love, and prayer.
It was very gradual as she came out, and by the 21st day, it was Easter Sunday, and she repeated after me, "Happy Easter, Mommy," and she said, "I love you, Mommy."
The coma left Debbie blind, speechless, and unable to walk.
If we would put her in an upright position, her head would just flop down. If we would try to pull her to sit, her head would just flop backward. So that was the first thing that we had to work on, was developing that head control.
The team of therapists at Geisinger went to work. Debbie's eyesight returned. She slowly gained control of her arms and is learning to walk again. She also began talking and even singing to the folks at Geisinger.
On this Christmas so very long ago.
It got to the point where the therapist knew the song on, all the songs on the tapes, and the nurses, and Debbie was a star on tape and in her bed.
Last year about this time, she was lying in a bed and she was blind and she was totally unable to move. And now she's able to ride on a horse. She's able to read, write, talk. In fact, we can't even shut her up. She just talks so much.
Today, it's hard to hold Debbie back. She loves to ride either of the 2 horses her family owns.
Well, I got to ride on them, but then Daddy had to put me up to bed at night. Right.
Debbie's parents know she is a miracle.
She was dead and came back to life. That is the biggest miracle that could ever happen.
Make a miracle happen.
And how do you make a miracle happen, do you know?
With children better.
This is what is all about. Ladies and gentlemen, look at that picture and take a look at a live picture. Here is our miracle child. Here is Debbie Vaughn. Hi, Debbie.
Hi.
Say hello to all those people out there.
Hello.
Are you going to sing a little song for them? How about an encore? How about singing that Christmas song, Mary Had a Little Lamb?
Mary had a little lamb. The Christmas so very long ago came down from heaven to die for our sins. For his leaves as white as snow.
You know, you're a beautiful little girl. Now, you have to see this little girl. This is her sister, Jessica. This is the little girl here who gave her that final kiss there as we were picking flowers up there. Debbie, how you doing? How you feeling?
Good.
Can you show these people how your walker works? Because I told them that you're just about completely recovered, but you have a little trouble walking. Show them how you use this walker. Go ahead, take a few steps for us, hon.
Without the walker?
No, go ahead. Use the walker and show us. Now, you take a look at these steps, and some of them are difficult steps for her, but you got to understand she was under the water for 15 minutes. This is a girl that drowned. We're talking about a miracle right here. We're talking about nearly a full recovery. She couldn't talk. She was blind. She just sang a song for you. Now she's taking a few steps for you. That's what this is all about. Okay, that's enough walking. I'm getting tired following you around. I've been doing this for 21 hours. All right, listen, I also want you to meet her brothers over here. We got 3 brothers. We got Jessica here. We got a big family here. We got a family of love. We got a family that cares about each other and prayed for Debbie when she was in this situation. Let me introduce to you Reverend Robert Vaughn, who is her dad, and also Ruth, her mom, the people that you met in the story. And let me ask you, first of all, some things that perhaps did not get included in that story. This was also a very serious time of prayer for you, wasn't it?
It was. At this time, the only thing that we felt that we could do was to turn to the Lord in prayer and to search the scriptures. And at that time, we just were so comforted by Psalm 18. And I think it was in verse 16, it talks about he drew me out of many waters. And then verse 19 says he took me to a large place. And
see, a lot of people don't know that Geisinger is in the Bible.
It's Geisinger. It's very much Geisinger.
That large place was Geisinger. Bob, I know this was difficult for you. I have relived this a half dozen times, you pulling your baby out of the water. You say you told me that when you pulled her out, it was very difficult to even do CPR. Why?
Well, the thing about it is that her whole expression was one of lifelessness, and the thing about it is that one moment she's completely fine, and then the next moment her whole countenance has changed. Her whole appearance is all the life that was once within her is completely taken from her, and just the shock of that is hard to take in all at once.
Now, I know this is kind of a silly question to ask, but in so many ways, this little girl is a miracle. And since you're the pastor, you can tell us what that means.
Well, in that Psalm 18 that really spoke to us both, the scripture talks about how that when I was in trouble, I called upon the Lord and he heard me. And the Lord heard our cry, and the Lord gave us back our daughter. And as we began to seek his face, and understand what he wanted, we began to realize that he's a God of miracles. And that even though statistically it didn't look good for her, nevertheless, the Lord was to write the last chapter, and we thank him for that.
And how did he use Geisinger? What was most impressive about the care?
It felt like family. It felt like family. And not only was it highly technical and just I don't even know how to explain it. The thing that just impressed me the most was the people here. They were just so friendly and loving and caring and just so special to us.
Now, you've been tugging on me. Is there something you want to say?
No.
No, okay. You're just tugging on me. All right. I also want to ask you this question. I want you to pay very close attention to this because there was a point after Debbie came out of this coma that she was blind, and her mother was very anxious to try and find out when the eyesight would return. How did you finally find out that her eyesight had returned?
Well, I did something that was very, very unnatural for me to do with my children, and I stuck my tongue out, and I said, Debbie, what is Mommy doing now? And she said, Mommy, you're sticking out your tongue.
You stuck your tongue out at your daughter, and that was a sign. And also, wasn't there something about the bedroom light turning?
One night we walked in, and for the first time, she winced as we turned on the light at night, and that was a sign to us that it wouldn't be very long before her eyesight would recover. And one thing I'll add is that each step of her progress was accompanied with prayers that literally went around the world. And as we saw a particular problem, whether it be her speech returning or there was one time when she had pneumonia in all her lungs, and we prayed and encouraged the people all around the world, as it were, to pray. And people were so good about that. That condition changed overnight, and we just saw God accelerate her healing as we began to just agree in prayer.
Let me ask you a question. Can you tell everybody the name of your two horses? Do you remember them? What are they?
Nutmeg. Buffy.
What's your favorite color?
Pink.
I guess so. And, you know, we have a little present for you, something that you told me that you wanted very much. I want to give you a special present. See it coming over there? That's for you, Debbie. What is that?
Pink and purple, your favorite colors.
That's your bike. Remember you told me you wanted a pink and purple bike? Why don't you put her on it, Bob, and hold her and give her at least a feel of what this bike is going to be like. She's got some difficulty with her legs, but I think this bike is kind of like a promise that she is going to be completely restored. We only have a few feet here, Debbie. You can't go that far and that fast. Do you like your bike?
Yeah.
Say one more thing to these people. Say, you can make a miracle happen.
You can make a miracle happen.
You know how they do that?
Yeah.
Children getting better, right?
Yeah.
And you know how children get better? They get better when you call the number that's on your screen and you pledge so that the equipment is there. The therapy room, anything that a child like Debbie needs. You can take her off. I don't want her to get hurt in any way, but that's a promise that she's going to one day be riding that, and we'll show you pictures of it when that happens. But this is a miracle right here. Jessica, come here. You got to say something. Tell everybody what your name is.
I know how to read and I got a new watch.
You got a new watch. Show everybody your new. And what's your favorite color?
Blue and red and pink.
Oh, blue and pink. Well, we have a present for you, too. How about a hat? You look like a tomboy. I don't know, that dress just doesn't seem to go with you. We also have hats for everybody in the family. We got a hat for you, hon, and we got a hat for the boys. Tell everybody your name.
Denny.
All right. These guys are so shy. What's your name?
David.
All right, and one more. Your name.
Tom.
All right. They're the members of the family, the Von family from Tioga County. Congratulations and God bless you all. You got a miracle here. Take a look at this family together, and let me give you the phone number so that you can continue calling. We're talking about a little girl who fell into 8 feet of water, was underwater for 15 minutes, who literally drowned, and is sitting on a bicycle right now after having just talked up a storm. And you heard about the power of prayer combined with some of the technology and some of the doctors and some of the equipment here at the Geisinger Medical Center. But I want you to think of something else as you're thinking of a reason to call. These people live in Wellsboro. Now, that is a hike from the Geisinger Medical Center. Debbie was first rushed by ambulance to a local hospital, Soldiers and Sailors Hospital in Wellsboro. When the doctors saw her condition, they knew the place to send her for the most intensive care was the Geisinger Medical Center. And you know how she got here? She got here in the Life Flight helicopter. Now, you want to see another miracle? We've got about 20 phones that are not ringing. I'm going to give the phone number once because I know that after seeing that, you believe in this telethon, and these phones are all going to light up.